Hi guys, in this video, let us see how to solve this typical quadratic graph question. Take some time to read this question. You may pause the video. The table is given to us and they are asking us to find value of A and B, which is over here. Alright, so all you have to do is to substitute your X and your Y with -2 and A, and of course the other pair would be 4 and B. Okay, here's the equation and the working. So A is -10, we're going to write down -10 over here, and B is 8. Let us go to question part B. Using a scale of 2 cm to 1 unit on the x-axis and 1 cm to 1 unit on the y-axis, we are required to draw the graph for the range of -3 to 4 for my x-axis. So this specifies your range, right? So on our graph paper, normally before I draw my graph, I like to use a pencil to write down the numbers, the range of my x-axis and my y-axis on the side of the graph paper. This will allow me to know whether if I have enough space for my graph. Sometimes students tend to go straight in and draw the x-axis and y-axis too early, and only to realize that they do not have enough space because the graph sometimes may not be right in the center of the paper. It may be slightly to the left or the right, on top or below. Okay, so it is good to always draft out, okay, write down the numbers on top and beside so that you know where your x and y axis should be. Then I would also prefer to use a long ruler. Typically is 30 cm because your A4 paper is normally 30 cm, right? Then rather than using a small ruler, a short ruler where you have to draw it twice and then sometimes you have to measure again and it's not accurate, or your connection point is wonky. Okay, so use a longer ruler, okay, and draw your x and y axis. Another tip is this. Let me zoom in. What I like to do is I will not put my ruler on the line. A lot of students actually put the ruler on the line. Do remember that your pen has a thickness, your pencil has a thickness, so putting the ruler slightly beside the axis that you want to draw, okay, will help you draw on the line. All right. Then also the other thing I would recommend is getting a pencil that is needle point. This is what we call a needle point pencil. Okay, this over here, I have an example over here. This is a conical shape pencil. Okay, not sure if you can see this. This is a conical shape pencil. Okay, so it's in a cone, and this is a needle point pencil. Okay, so I would prefer to use the needle point pencil over the conical shape because the conical shape pencil would have increased width and it will not be very accurate, right? This would be slightly more accurate. Okay, then also on top of that, another stationery that you can buy, okay, is to help you draw your graph easily, is a higher grade, okay, or a darker pencil lead. Okay, so what I have here is a 4B. Okay, so it's darker. I don't have to use too much force to draw. I just need to lightly draw over the paper and it'll be very clear. All right, and of course if you are very confident, okay, if you're very confident, then you may straight away draw your x and y axis with a pen. Alright, so in this case I would draw mine with a pen. Okay, but of course if you are not very sure of yourself, then do not draw with a pen. Okay, draw with a pencil. Alright, in fact we would encourage you to draw with a pencil. Alright, unless you are very sure. Okay, then you may use a pen to draw your x and y axis. Why mention drawing with a pen is because when we are drawing quadratic graph, we tend to make mistakes, and we will need to erase off our axis, and that could actually be a waste of time. Okay, so I've drawn my x and y axis. Then let's label this as y, and let's label this as x. Okay. After you have drawn out the x and y axis and have labeled all the markers, and then plot out the points, we are going to draw the graph. Okay, here is a curve ruler. We're going to use the curve ruler, okay, to draw a graph. Okay, now what I prefer to do is rotate the paper so that you are drawing a unhappy curve. Okay, why? Because if I were to put my graph paper like this, and I draw like this, okay, it's very difficult for me to see, right? Okay, it's easier to look at the unhappy curve. Okay, it's easier to draw inside the curve, and also inside the curve ruler, and also draw it this way. It's easier. All right. If you still prefer to draw it, the happy curve like this, up to you. Okay, then when you are using the curve ruler, let me just turn this around. When you're using the curve ruler, make sure that the reading is upright. Right now my reading is not upright. Okay, it's upside down. What happened is that when your reading is upside down, you will feel that the edge of the curve ruler has this little thing that's sticking out, okay, at the bottom of the curve ruler. Okay, so this bottom should be on the paper and on the side that you are drawing on. Okay, what do I mean is basically you just need to flip this around. Okay, make sure that the reading is upright, and then bend your curve ruler to the shape that you want. Okay, mine is a very old curve ruler, that's why it's very soft, and because it's very soft, okay, it will tend to spring back. Okay, this is not good. All right, if you happen to have a old curve ruler and it's already soft like this, then you shouldn't be using it, because the curve ruler should stay in shape when you bend it. Alright, okay, so it should stay in shape, but mine doesn't stay in shape. So if yours is like mine, overly seasoned, you need to change the curve ruler. Alright, now what I'm going to do here is, after you have bent your curve ruler, okay, we will aim to draw 3 points first. Okay, and I typically like to start with the center. Alright, so we're going to try to connect this 1, 2, 3, these 3 points, okay, together. So try to, same thing is the same thing with the ruler, right? Okay, do not place the curve ruler on the point. If you place it on the point and you draw on it, and it will not touch the points. Okay, then that's besides the point. This whole process will take some time and some practice. Alright, so please do not be frustrated over the process. Okay, so once we are done with the 3 points, okay, I'm going to shift over to this other 3 points. Okay, so once you are done, right, you will notice that sometimes you have this disconnection points, right? So these are the points when you need to smoothen out. You may do this freehand, you may do this with a curve ruler, okay? Ultimately, you need to, repeat this process over a few times, all right? So normally what I'll do is I'll just, freehand and connect the points. All right, you don't need to be 100% accurate because you are not a machine. All right. Next, I'm going to draw the other side. I'm done with the left side, so I'm going to go on to the right side. Okay. Okay, notice that I'm actually redrawing this part, connecting these 3 points. Okay, instead of continuing from here, these 3 points, I'm continuing from these 3 points. Why? Is because I want to make sure that when I adjust my ruler, right, these 3 points will form a smooth curve, right? Okay, as you can see that there's a bit of this hairline disconnection, so I'm gonna erase them. Okay, and it would help if you draw lightly because it's easier to erase off as well. All right. Okay, we are done. Part C asks, use your graph to estimate the value of x when y equals to negative 3.3. Okay, so on our graph, we are going to go to, we will draw a line, okay, on the y-axis, okay, negative 3.3. So y-axis, negative 3.3, negative 3.3. Oh my gosh. This, wait, let me zoom in so that you can see what I'm doing. Negative 3, move down 1, okay. 1, 2, 3, here, oh my eyes. Alright, I'm going to label this minus 3.3, and then you will notice that, okay, I'm not gonna use the ruler and just draw a dotted line, project it across to the graph. Okay, then once you have projected across and it reaches the graph, then you can project upwards towards your y-axis, your x-axis. Okay, it'll be here. So this is 2.45. So as it says, estimate, so don't have to be too picky about it, alright? Okay, but very important, draw out. Okay, very important, draw out the dotted lines, alright, so that we know. Okay, now you may also have noticed on the other side, I have another one. Okay. Okay, and for me, my graph happens to have 2x. Okay, so I'm going to label the 2x. This is minus 3, minus 3.45. Okay. So let's move on to C part 2. The corresponding value of x for the minimum value of y. What does that mean? Okay, they're simply asking you to focus and find the minimum value of y. What on the graph? Okay, on the graph, the minimum value of y is over here, where the graph is at the lowest point. Okay, so I am going to project again. No, I don't need to project. I just need to see. Okay, and they're asking for corresponding value of x. That means they want this point. Oops, you can't see. Okay, this point, right? This is the minimum value of x, minimum point. Okay, and then they're trying to find what is the x, right? So this one has to project upwards. Okay, this time I'm going to use a ruler. Okay, draw dotted lines. All right. Now let us go through question part D. Okay, as you can see, I have already written something over here because this is a take 2. So this line that I've drawn out just now, you will notice that it cuts my graph nicely in half, right? It mirrors, the two sides mirror each other, right? This is my line of symmetry, okay? And therefore, the conclusion is line of symmetry is projected upwards, a vertical line projected upwards from your turning point, okay, of the graph, okay, the turning point of the graph, all right? So my line of symmetry, the equation would be x equals to minus 0.5. Okay, future Mr. Lee here. I've realized that part E and part F is not part of the syllabus, so we're going to skip that. Thank you for watching and have a good day.